we've been working on is a series of agreements between the United Nations and the World Bank. And the Secretary General and the President of the World Bank recently signed a partnership framework designed to strengthen the collaboration between the United Nations and the World Bank in crisis and post-crisis situations. It's the result of a long and lengthy process, a 2-year process, to come up with a series of arrangements that fortify and institutionalize the way the United Nations and the World Bank work in those situations. What's important is that it's based on the recognition that we need a much more coherent and integrated response that pulls in our military work, our security, our political, our development, and our humanitarian efforts in those situations. The goal is really ultimately to reduce transaction costs for our partners on the ground and make sure that what the UN offers and what the World Bank offers are coherent and provide rapid results on the ground.
World Bank and the United Nations have been cooperating very closely and we will continue to do so in many parts around the world for many needy people. This is a very good example how multilateral organizations can cooperate and can pool resources and wisdom and experiences wherever we work.
It's got 3 parts. One is this high-level framework between the United Nations and the World Bank. This framework spells out key principles and working methods between the United Nations and the World Bank. A second part of that, which is much more operational, is a UNDG World Bank Annex on post-crisis partnership. And this annex highlights concrete commitments to operationalize those key principles, specifically in the area of joint planning and financing. And this is a way for the UN funds, agencies, and programs and the World Bank on the ground to be able to come together, plan jointly what the response should be, and also make sure that when it comes to financing mechanisms, funds are able to be dispersed very quickly on the ground. And that's why there's a third element of that, which is the fiduciary framework, which consists in a global agreement, grant agreement basically, to facilitate the transfer of funds from either a World Bank trust fund to UN organizations or from a UNDG trust fund to UN organizations and the World Bank. And that's critical because what we've had in the past is lengthy delays in our ability to transfer funds to one another. And in certain places, that has had a significant impact on the lives of a number of people and our ability to actually implement programs. Now what we have is a tool that allows us to quickly get in, establish a trust fund, and disperse money on the ground.
This agreement, which also involves our colleagues with UNICEF and UNDP, is very important because with the countries that are coming out of conflict or dealing with fragility, they're the least able to be able to deal with varieties of different types of support from around the international community. So we really have to pool our resources together to make it most effective and to help them. And that's what this agreement is about. This agreement is about trying to use common systems and procurement and make it easier for the people that are suffering in the worst of all circumstances.
Well, it means that there is now an institutional commitment on both sides to go in these situations together. And when I'm developing, for example, an UNDAF, that the World Bank would be part of it and that the UNDAF would influence or inform what the World Bank would be doing, and vice versa. The World Bank's plans would inform what we are doing, and ultimately that at least the thinking is done together, and that we have a very clear division of labor between the UN country team and the World Bank. A second very concrete result is that if we do establish a trust fund to support recovery efforts, it doesn't take 6 months or 2 years, which was the case in certain countries, which is a suboptimal response, but it allows us to put in place those trust funds and disperse money in a matter of weeks.
We have agreed to work as one UN and act as one UN. This again demonstrates the good examples. I'm very much pleased.
It reduces transaction costs for them in terms of setting up structures and mechanisms, and it gives them greater credibility and visibility vis-a-vis your partners, and it also reduces transaction costs for host partners, government, civil society, which makes their life easier and enhances the impact of what they do on a daily basis.
Change. But if you keep in mind that, in an event like World War II that helped create the UN and helped create the World Bank, people had the foresight, even as they were dealing with the armies of the past, to try to deal with the challenges of the future. And that's what UN Day is about, and that's what this process is about, and it's what this group is about.
This is not created in a vacuum. It's based on good practices in a number of countries, and what we want to make sure is that these are institutionalized and replicated throughout, and we, DOCO, need to provide support to each RC and country team in operationalizing this framework, these agreements, learning from other countries, and that's what the UNDG World Bank Partnership Agreement includes, a commitment to share those lessons and apply those lessons in a number of countries with the support of this fiduciary tool that I just mentioned.